In the last few episodes, I was shooting street photography in Colombo, the capital of Sri Lanka, which was pretty epic. But now it was time to move to a new location and rock the Leica Q3 again. I headed south to the city of Galle, just a 2-hour train ride away. It's a fascinating small town with a rich history. I had 2 days filled with street photography action, had to avoid getting scammed, and an unexpected discovery. I ended up wandering in Steve McCurry's footsteps. Good morning everyone and welcome to the jungle. Welcome here to Galle in Sri Lanka. This is a very special place, but more on that a little bit later on, or maybe in the next video, I'm not sure yet, but there's something very special about this place here. And as you can see, it's still dark, or relatively dark. The sun will go up in a few minutes, and I am an early bird today. So let's head out and let's see what cool shots we can get early in the morning here in Galle, Sri Lanka. I was on my way to the beach, hoping to see some fishermen at work and document the process. The sunrise wasn't great, but having woken up early, I wanted to make the best of it. The town seemed to be still asleep, but then I spotted a man unloading chickens from crates. The chickens were in very poor condition, and honestly, looking at the footage and photos later was painful. I know for sure that I wouldn't want to be treated like that. Oh man, I feel sorry for this chicken, to be honest. But hey, it is what it is. Well, when there aren't many people around, I just photograph the animals instead, I guess. I wanted to capture a shot of the cow with the crow on its back, but as I got closer, the bird took off. When I arrived at the beach, not only was the lighting bad, but there also wasn't much going on. Later I realized I had simply arrived too early. Yes, it was disappointing, but things were about to get a lot more interesting later that day. I walked all the way back to the city center, and as the sun finally came out, I could start shooting. My first stop was an interesting bus station in the center. I was waiting for the man to turn around for the shot, but that took way longer than I expected. Guys, hands down, this has to be one of the best spots for street photography here in town. The station has a gritty feel, gets super busy, and was a great place to shoot. You'll see more of it later in this episode. Before continuing, I wanted to share an interesting fact about this town. But on my way to the location, I was approached by this gentleman here. Maybe he was just a friendly local who wanted to share his story with me. Of course, I'm not that naive. He was probably just a scammer who told me this tragic story about losing his family in the 2004 tsunami, then tried to convince me later on to go to this market, which I wasn't really interested in. And when I told him that I have neither cash nor cards on me, he quickly lost interest and took off. While I was in Sri Lanka, I heard the same story about the 2004 tsunami over and over again. And it always sounded eerily similar. While it could be true, it most likely isn't. But speaking about old stories, there's one from Galle that took place exactly 30 years ago, and I finally want to share it with you. But first, let's make this look a little bit more cinematic. Back in 1995, a guy named Steve McCurry, you might have heard of him, visited the city. Who knows, maybe he even arrived at the same train station as I did the day before. While he was here, he took one of his most iconic photos, capturing the famous stilt fisherman. I was surprised to find a print of that very photo mounted on one of the columns. Granted, the print has seen better days and is quite faded, but it was still cool to see. It made me wish I could travel back in time, grab a few rolls of Kodachrome and head out to photograph the fishermen too. Anyway, I wanted to return to the beach to see if the fisherman I missed that morning had finally arrived, and I was just a short tuk-tuk ride away from finding out. When I arrived, the sky was looking more promising, and I was happy to report that I had finally found the fisherman I was looking for.
Right, I came back to the beach, and now the fishermen are here pulling in the net, so let's see what we can do.
They told me that pulling in the net takes about an hour and a half, and they had to do it 2 to 3 times a day.
Oh, the rain jacket looks so sick.
Very soon they would find out if all their effort was worth it. I was surprised by how many people showed up to watch the final steps, but it made sense. After all, the fishermen sell some of their catch right there on the beach. As you can see, most of the fish they catch are relatively small. One of the fishermen asked me to take a portrait of them pulling the boat onto the shore. The next day, I sent them the portrait along with a selection of other shots I had taken that afternoon. Finally, the sun broke through and the scene was beautifully backlit with the sea as a backdrop, perfect for photography.
Very good.
Since much of their catch consisted of small fish, they sold them in bulk. I'm really glad I made the trip out here to see how these fishermen work and document their process. The next day, I was greeted by sunshine as I headed back to the bus station I had visited the day before. After grabbing a few quick shots, I wanted to check out the town's #1 tourist attraction. On my way, I came across a bus driver taking a nap. And if you're a regular viewer on this channel, you know I have to take a photo. What you see in front of me is Galle Fort, but let me give you some context. Galle Fort is one of Sri Lanka's most iconic landmarks, packed with history and charm. It was first built by the Portuguese in 1588, back when they controlled the island. But in 1649 the Dutch took over and really transformed it, adding massive stone walls, bastions and an advanced drainage system that, believe it or not, still works today. Then came the British in 1796, and while they made some changes, the fort kept its colonial character. Fast forward to today, and Galle Fort is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, filled with stunning Dutch era buildings, cozy cafes, museums and breathtaking ocean views. It's a place where history meets modern charm, making it a must visit for anyone exploring Sri Lanka. Outside the fort walls, Couples typically hide under umbrellas. Don't believe me? Here you go. I think I prefer this shot because the perspective gives you a better sense of the surroundings. While walking into the fort, I spotted another napping bus driver, or rather two of them. I had to be careful entering the bus since I didn't want to wake them up. The reason people were eating their lunch on the fort's wall? They were watching a cricket match between Sri Lanka and Australia, taking place in the stadium just outside. Speaking of Australia, I wasn't surprised to find a kangaroo just chilling on the wall too. That must be the only wild kangaroo in all of Sri Lanka. Guess I got lucky spotting it.
There must be a sauna inside there.
Yes, it is. Number one team, number one.
Number one team. T20 World Cup, nothing. Doesn't mean anything. Mickey Mouse.
That's why.
While exploring the fort, I heard a marching band in the distance and tracked down the source. It turned out to be a school celebration, and to my surprise, there were no tourists, only locals. The people were very welcoming and even invited me to watch the stage performances. I would have loved to join, but I wanted to keep shooting, so after snapping a few photos, I moved on.
So there's this gap here, and some people jump across because it's the easiest way. So let's see if we can catch somebody mid-air.
I made my way down to the beach to see what kind of shots I could get there. There was a couple having a pre-wedding photo shoot. I had a lovely chat with the woman taking care of the boy during the shoot, and she even invited me to their wedding. Unfortunately, it was happening after I was scheduled to leave Sri Lanka. Even though the lighting wasn't great, using flash helped bring out the drama in the sky, and I love how the shots turned out. Speaking of flash, if you want to master flash in street photography, check out my ultimate guide to flash in street photography video course. That will give you everything you need to know to getting started using flash or refine your skills for the best possible street shots using flash. You will find the link in the video description.
All right, thank you. Okay, bye-bye, see you, bye. Thank you.
Usually in the cities you will find a lot of pigeons, or at the coastline also seagulls, but in Sri Lanka mostly crows. They are not very shy either, letting you get very close. I was already happy with what I had captured, but I wanted to get a little bit closer.
Alright guys, I was working the scene there a little bit, and I think it was worth it. The crow and the people and the trash bin. I think this works really nicely, nice composition. Now the light is dropping quickly. I mean the sky, look at that, looks awesome behind me. Not sure if it comes across in the video, but trust me, it looks really nice. Now it's maybe 40 minutes left until sunset, 45 minutes roughly, then the sun's gone. And what an awesome day.
People gather on the west side of the fort wall to witness the sunset, and on this day, the sky rewarded them with plenty of drama. Alright guys, that concludes my series here from Sri Lanka, and in this case shooting the Leica Q3 here in Galle. And I have to say, Sri Lanka is good for street photography. I would highly recommend you going there and checking it out. People are very welcoming and very friendly. Okay guys, in the next video we'll see each other from a very different location in a different country, and I can't wait to share the upcoming adventures with you. There will be a lot of videos coming from all sorts of countries, and yeah, so the next few months will be filled with a lot of street photography action here on this channel. If you like this video and you like this series, you know what to do. Smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, do not miss out on the upcoming episodes. And as always guys, see you in the next one. Until then, auf Wiedersehen.